Hey everybody, Yankee here. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that recently the ATF raided the home of a man in Little Rock, Arkansas. The man's name was Brian Malinowski, I believe his last name was. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I hope I'm doing it right. No disrespect to anyone. But I believe his name was Brian Malinowski. And in this raid, the police say, well, there was a shootout with ATF agents and local police, and he was shot and later died. And people were asking me my opinion on this. And to be honest, I really didn't know much about it when they first asked me. I had to do some research. In fact, we did some research in my live chat. People got to watch as I learned about it. Now, I went through, stages of how I feel about this. And I want to kind of go over them with everybody out there. And we're eventually going to get to what I feel about this as a whole, how I feel about this as a whole. And I'll give you a little preview here. I think the ATF murdered this man, and I'll get to that. Now, when I first heard the story, I heard, it was a gunfight between this guy and police. And I was like, wow, that's never a good idea to start shooting when the police show up. If they come to serve a warrant, cooperate. If they want to search, let them search. If they want to take you in for questioning, go in for questioning. Your time to fight is in court, not on your porch, because you're not going to win that, because they got more people than you, and they can wait you out. They can work in shifts. So I was like, why did this guy start shooting at him? And then I started thinking, well, that doesn't make sense. So I started looking to see, is there any video that show him actually start shooting at the police or getting involved in a shootout with the police? And of course there isn't. So when I realized there was no video evidence of this, first thing I thought is, well, in a situation like this, it doesn't make any sense that he would just start shooting when the police show up with a warrant. So I don't believe that. In fact, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I never give law enforcement or the ATF benefit of the doubt. You might say that's because, it's because you're anti-cop. No, it's because I can read the newspapers and I can learn from history. They don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. They lie every chance they get, especially if they've done something wrong. So when there's something that's been done that is wrong, like someone dying during a warrant being served, I don't give the police the benefit of the doubt, especially not when their story is the only story. I better see some video evidence. And then it turns out that it wasn't so much a shootout with police. It was that police showed up at the break of dawn and kicked his door in with a no-knock warrant. And supposedly he fired at police when they kicked the door in. They fired back and shot him multiple times. Now, this makes a little more sense because if someone kicked my door in, I'd probably be shooting too. But even there, I don't know if I totally believe the story of law enforcement right now. Because unless he was carrying his gun on him right then and there, or had it right next to him, I find it unusual that someone's going to be ready to start shooting at 6 a.m. in the morning when their door gets kicked down by multiple police officers. So I'm almost of a mindset that it's more likely they kicked the door in, one of the officers got spooked, they started shooting, one of the officers got wounded and very superficially, and they shot him up. Because, gunfire, we got to take out the bad guy. Because he's immediately and obviously by default the bad guy as far as they're concerned because he's not a police officer or an agent. And I think that everything about this stinks. Like I said, I don't think he shot back at him. If he did, if video comes out tomorrow that they kicked the door in and he started shooting right away, well, then I'll be like, well, he shot at him. I'll give him that. But still, it all could have been avoided. This guy works. He's a professional. This is not some hardened criminal that they were after. He works every day. They could have picked him up at work. Just like with Waco, they could have picked him up anytime he was out and about. They followed him when he was out and about, when he went to town, when they were coming back, everything. And then they decided, well, instead of picking him up on the road, let's go in guns a-blazing and cost a lot of people their life. And that's something police love to do nowadays. They have to justify their existence. They have to justify their tactics. They have to justify why they need the things they have, like MRAPs and fully automatic rifles and all this SWAT gear, because they have to treat every person like they're a nail because they want to be hammers. And they want to be bigger and bigger hammers, so they treat every person like they're bigger and bigger nails. That's the problem with their mentality. But like I was saying, this guy, what he was supposedly wanted for, what the warrant was about, is he was selling guns at a gun show, and an agent went up and said, well, I would like this gun, you don't have it. And he said, well, I'll see if I can have it next week. See if I can get it for you. That's what he's accused of. They're saying he's selling a lot of guns, without an FFL license. Well, that is a crime. Now, do I agree that it should be a crime? No, I don't. I think anybody should be able to sell any gun they want, anytime they want. And the only people that should be prohibited from owning guns or buying guns are people that are in prison. So selling to people that are prohibited shouldn't even be an issue. So I don't believe in background checks. So I don't think this guy was a criminal in any devastating way or big way that would make me think, oh God, this guy should be out of society. He was doing things that I don't think should even be illegal. And they definitely don't warrant the death penalty. But that's quite often what police do when they do these no-knock raids and these no-knock warrants. It's basically serving the death penalty on people. Because what do they expect? And what happens most every time they do this? They shoot people. They shoot innocent people. People that are not even the people they're looking for quite often. Like Breonna Taylor, people like that. And now this guy, who was a professional in his community, a respected member of his community, who sold guns as a hobby, who said, hey, maybe I can get that for you to someone else. They basically executed him in his home because they thought he was committing gun crimes. Like I said, they could have just approached him at work and said, hey, we need to take you in for some questioning, and we're going to go to your house and search your house. Do you want to give us the keys, or do you want us to break the door down? They could have done that easily. But they want to go in guns a-blazing because, oh my God, he might have guns and he might shoot back. Well, if you probably just went up and knocked on his door, he probably wouldn't. There's nothing about this person that says he's a violent criminal. You got your warrant based on him just saying, hey, maybe I can get this for you at a gun show. That's his big crime. He didn't assault anyone. He didn't do any violence. Nothing like that. Had no reason to believe he was a major threat to police, but they decided to go in, crack of dawn, guns blazing, kicking in doors, multi-men, that kind of garbage. That's everything that's wrong with law enforcement these days. It would have been very easy to sit down and say, hey, we got this warrant for this guy. Here's his daily routine. He does this every day. We can just have someone sitting outside his job. What's the way we could do this in a way that would be the least dangerous for everybody? But they don't care about that. They want to be doing it in a way that is, like I said, justifies their tactics and presents no risk to them. But it presents extra risk to people that they're doing the raid upon, because if those people react, they get shot. If those people don't even react, often they get shot. Because the officers go in, like I said, itchy trigger fingers. Someone hears, the doorknob that they just kicked off the door falls to the ground. They're like, gunshot, boom, boom, boom. One cop did it because an acorn hit his car. So you think they don't do that all the time? They do. Cops are pathetic these days in this country. The whole system is broken. The law enforcement system is broken. And the type of people they hire are the wrong type of people. And they're the type of people who do stuff like this. So like I said, even if it had been a situation where they came to his door and the story was, hey, we just came to his door to serve a warrant and he started shooting, I'd have to see video evidence because I wouldn't give the ATF the benefit of the doubt. Now that I hear that it's a no-knock warrant, well, right now, I don't even believe he shot at him. And the one officer that was lightly wounded is probably struck by friendly fire if I had to base things on past experiences. And even if he did start shooting, if someone does show us evidence that he shot first, they were kicking his door down at daybreak. You created a situation where he had every right to believe he was in danger and would probably shoot back if he was armed, or shoot if he was armed. So you basically served an execution warrant on this guy. You basically said, hey, we want this guy for this. We think he's doing these things that aren't hurting anybody. And they're like, oh, now we're saying that, oh, he sold many guns that have turned up at crime scenes. Well, yeah, who sold more guns that turn up at crime scenes? Well, the government. People like Obama. People like that run their little schemes. The ATF has sold more guns to criminals than any other gun store ever. So if the guns he sold somehow ended up in the hands of a criminal eventually, that's how freedom works. It happens. Sometimes if things are out there, bad guys get a hold of them. Stop worrying about the tools the bad guys use and start dealing with the bad guys. We won't have these problems. But like I said, you're not going to scare me with that. Oh, but he was selling to bad guys. Aren't you scared? No, because there's no proof that he knew any of those people were bad. And that would be something that should happen in court. That should be turned up in court. You should be able to show in court, hey, he sold to this guy, this guy, this guy. They all couldn't pass a background check and they told him that and he sold it to him anyway. Well, then, yeah, put him in jail. But even then, I'm going to be on his side and I'm going to say he should be fighting this and we should be overturning these stupid laws telling us what we can sell and who can have what and all this stuff, because I don't believe in any of that. So in the end, like I said, I think this was a clear case of the ATF and local law enforcement acting like tough guys in the only way they can in large numbers when they surprise you, just so they can justify continuing to be tough guys and, tactical guys. And they served a death warrant on a person who wasn't wanted for a crime that showed them capable or likely to commit any violence. They weren't culpable of a crime that, even if fully guilty, would have warranted the death penalty, but they killed him anyway. And they killed him through their gross negligence, through being overzealous, through being so risk adverse that they would rather kill everybody first and figure things out later, that they take people's lives without any forethought because they're so risk averse. So, like I said, in the end, even though I don't have all the facts, I'm going to have to say at the end of the day, in my opinion, this is just one more example of law enforcement in this country and the ATF in this country serving death warrants on people just because they want to.